Okay, if you are watching this video, that means you have already written your conclusion, which is on page 100. 9.3 was writing an introduction. We filled out this part, you planned it, then you wrote the introduction on the back on page 100 and turned it in, and now we are ready to start writing body paragraphs. So your narrative is going to have an introduction where you introduce your story, then it's going to have body paragraphs, which tells what happened in the story, and then it will have a conclusion kind of wrapping up your story. So we're on the middle part. It says, continue writing your personal narrative using the events and details in your personal narrative planner. Activity 8.4 as a guide. So that would be these pages that you did. Oops. As you write, think about how to develop your events using specific details such as description and dialogue. Remember, dialogue is somebody talking. To help the reader really imagine what your experience was like. Include at least one of the similes and metaphors you brainstormed earlier. I know we didn't do any brainstorming, but it would be kind of fun for you to try to put a simile or a metaphor in your writing. Okay, so here's my body paragraph. In order to decide how I'm going to start writing my body paragraphs, I really need to go back and reread my introduction first. So here it is. It was a cool fall Saturday in October of 1982. I was in 3rd grade. My dad and I were playing horse in the driveway like we often did on the weekends. Our driveway was a little slick because we had a sealant on it, and it had just rained. So as we were playing basketball, we tried to be very careful. That's introducing my story. I have not told what happened yet. I'm just kind of setting the scene and telling what's going on and what we're doing. Now I'm ready for my body paragraphs. So I'm looking at this that I have right here, and I'm looking at my events. Shooting baskets with Dad. I actually already said that in my introduction, so I don't need to put that in there. All right, so now I'm going to talk about how the ball got stuck on the roof, and do you see I have all of my details right here? It was my dad and I. I shot the ball too high and far, rolled behind the backboard, which is attached to the roof. And then I asked my dad if I could, I said, I'm so sorry, because I felt bad because I knew somebody had to go get the ball. So I said, I'm so sorry to my dad. Then I asked him if I could get it. Okay, so let's start with this. So I need to tell what happened. We played for about 30 minutes. Then I shot the ball way too high. And it landed on the roof and rolled behind the backboard. Okay, I'm just going to kind of keep looking back at this. I don't have to have all of this information on here. I knew somebody had to get the ball. How about this? I knew my dad would have to climb a ladder. A ladder to get the ball. Dad, I'm starting a new paragraph because I'm starting some dialogue. Dad, I'm so sorry, I said. All right, so then I'm so sorry, but then next, I'm so sorry, I'm going to ask him if I can get the ball from behind there. So I did the ball stuck on the roof, now I'm here. We played for about 30 minutes. Then I shot the ball way too high and it landed on the roof and rolled behind the backboard. I knew my dad would have to climb a ladder to get the ball. Dad, I am so sorry, I said. Then I had an idea. We're not changing speakers, I'm still talking, so I get to keep the same paragraph. Dad, I'm so sorry, I said. Then I had an idea. Wait, can I climb the ladder to get the ball? Dad, I'm so sorry, I said. Then I had an idea. Wait, can I climb the ladder to get the ball? Changing paragraphs because I'm starting to talk about something a little bit different and my dad's going to respond. So in dialogue, you change paragraphs and you change speakers. My dad thought for a moment. Okay, so I'm looking, I couldn't remember what he said. He said, okay, just this once. And replied, okay, just this once. All right, now I'm going to look back here. Okay, so now I have this part on here, but I haven't talked about when he got the ladder. I'm going to change paragraphs, though. He said just this once. So since I'm changing what's going on in the story, so my dad went to get the ladder. When he leaned it against the house, it was upside down. The metal part, next page, was at the bottom, and the rubber part was at the top. But we didn't know it. How about this? We didn't realize. Okay. Something that you'll notice that I do a lot as a writer and what good writers do is I go back and reread what I wrote so that I can kind of keep track of what I'm doing here so my next sentences make sense. I'm going to go back here. So my dad went to get the ladder. When he leaned it against the house, it was upside down. The metal part was at the bottom and the rubber part was at the top, but we didn't realize it. See, I'm realizing I need to add some other words. Realize it at the time. Okay. I included all these things. I didn't say how I was feeling. So now I think as I climb up the ladder, I should probably say, as I started climbing up the ladder, I was a little nervous. All right, now I'm going to go to my next page. Okay, so then it says, as I climbed the ladder slid off the roof. Dad stepped on the third rung. Okay, so I might have to add some things here. I don't like all these details, or I don't like the order that they're in, and I need to add a couple of them. So I'm going to say, as I started climbing up the ladder, I was a little nervous. When I got close to the top rung, all of a sudden, see, I'm not doing a lot of erasing. I just spelled that wrong, so I crossed it out. All of a sudden, the ladder slid off the roof and came crashing to the ground, taking me with it. Okay, I'm not going to write anymore. I'm going to stop right here. What I'm wanting you to do is watch the process that I go through as a writer. So I'm using what I have right here, but I didn't use everything, and I added things as I was going, and that's okay, because good writers do that. They change the way they're thinking. They revise their writing as they're going. So what you are going to do is you are going to use these pages that you have here. You could also use your outline if that's easier for you or just as helpful on pages 80 and 81. But you are going to write the body part of your story. So I'm not done. I have all of this still to look at, and then I have this back part right here. So I will finish mine another time. But this is your time to work on this yourself. Yours doesn't have to be as long as mine is, but notice I made a really big effort to make sure I have a lot of detail in it. All right, so you need to turn to page 100, 10.5 in your workbook, and you need to make sure that you have available your 8.4, and then if you need it, part of your 7.5. I would keep all of your loose papers in your reading folder, just so that you don't lose them. All right, it is your turn to write.